Hello everyone, PenguinSal here again today, and we have a special treat in store for today. This is something I really felt like doing, and I thought people would get some enjoyment out of this. So what we're doing here is we are going to do a tier list, and this is the tier list of all of the first looks that we've done on the channel this year. So as of this recording, there should be exactly 100 first looks that we've done between, I think we started doing these in September to now, which as of this recording, it's like mid-December. So we are going to look through the 100 first looks that we've done, and really we're going to organize them in really what we thought about the game from just that first experience. So essentially we have the categories as follows. That we already played it again. That is, we enjoyed the first look so much that it made us want to play more. Would play again. We enjoyed the first look enough to want to play it again, but haven't actually done it. It's a solid game. We get why people like it. That's essentially things that, like, we thought the first look was good, but we're not necessarily going to play the game again. And they got my fill in the first look is games where we played it, we saw what we wanted to see, probably would never dive back into it. And like I said, whenever I do these kinds of things, I'm never trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm not trying to put down the developers. I respect anybody who goes out and makes games. It's really, really hard. And, sometimes things just don't click for everybody, and I think that's fine. So, if we had games come in here, and we definitely had some that just didn't do it for us, we like to be open and honest about that. So, if anybody disagrees with anything that I say on here, feel free to tell me in the comments and be like, hey, idiot, how come you didn't like X, Y, and Z? I'll be like, I don't know, man. Like, I just play the games. So, yeah, we're really going to dive into this. I thought this would be a fun little experiment. Like I said, this is not a comprehensive list of every game that I've tried this year, because that's at least double this, especially because there are demos included in this. So, obviously, that's like a little bit different, but the demo is actually great for first looks. A demo is, your first look at a game pretty much anytime you play a demo. So, yeah, so like I said, it's not comprehensive. It is just the games that we played and did first look videos for on our YouTube channel this year. So I believe there's exactly 100 games. So I figured that's a good enough time to go in, and an interesting way to wrap up the end of the year going into 2024. So without further ado, we're going to just dive in. I'm not sure what these are organized in. I think they tried to do it alphabetically, but they missed the mark a little bit around here, so that's totally fine. So, first things first, the first one we have here is A Webbing Journey. Now, for anyone who remembers this was like a little 3D platformer kind of thing where you played as a spider and you had to, like, swing around and build webs to, like, do little tasks for people. I actually liked this one. I thought this was pretty fun. Obviously, that's not obvious, I guess. We didn't go back and play any more of this. We just played the demo the one time, and that was it. So I would play this again when the full game came out, because this was a demo. I would say I would play this again. I thought it had some charm to it. I thought the movement was actually pretty fluid. They had some pretty cool designs with, like, the way you could set up bridges and things using your webs. I would play that again. Okay, Arcadium Space Odyssey. So this was like a Bullet Heaven Wave Survivor type game that we played during Bullet Heaven Fest. It was, you were in space and you played as a little ship, and you had to, like, dock on the planets to, like, collect resources that you'd use to, like, buy upgrades. I would put this in the same section. It was a demo. I would play this one again. I had enough fun with this one. I probably would say that I liked the Webbing Journey slightly more. It was a little more unique, I think. With all the Bullet Heaven, like, wave survival games coming out lately, it's really hard to differentiate. Arcadium had some good ideas for sure, but I just thought Webbing Journey was probably a little bit more unique. Okay, Arrival Zero Earth is next. For anyone who didn't watch the video on this, it was like, I think you were in Poland during... It's almost like World War II in Poland, but, like, instead of fighting off the, other armies, there was, like, an alien invasion. It was kind of like War of the Worlds, that movie, where the aliens invade. This one had some cool ideas, but this, I would put this in, I got my fill in the first look. I think we saw everything we wanted to see in this one. I think it had, like, some decent ideas, but, like, not enough to really pull me in to want to play more. I don't know. Like I said, sometimes they just don't do it for me, and that one was okay, I thought. The next one up is Auto Heroes. Now, this is a game we played recently. It was a little auto battler game where there'd be 4 players on the map, and you'd be either a knight, an archer, or a mage, and they would automatically fight each other and like explore the map, and then between waves you would like pick upgrades to a skill tree. I actually liked this one. I thought this had some pretty fun ideas. It seemed like the skill tree was expansive enough to give you like a decent amount of plays. I'm hoping, I think as of this recording, this game hasn't technically come out yet, but I don't think this was a demo. I think it was what the game's going to look like when it does release. I hope they add some more characters. I do think 3 is like, especially because it's a 4-player game, like you can even do like online multiplayer. There's only 3 classes though, so you're always going to have at least one duplicate character, which I think is a little less interesting. If it's 4 people, but there's only 3 characters, I don't love that, but I would play this one again. I thought this had some interesting ideas. I would actually put it above these 2. That I would play it again, experience the different things the classes had to offer. Okay, so we already got to the big horse, really. That would be Backpack Battles. As you guys know, Backpack Battles is a demo, and it's essentially like an online PvP, like a Super Auto Pets, except it's all about inventory management, and all the items you put in your bag all work on their own. They like trigger in time, and essentially you have to beat your opponents. Obviously, we've already played this again a lot of times. It's one of my most played games this year. And like I said, it's just a demo at this time. I believe it is expected to come out in April of 2024. So we'll continue checking this one out. They do put out updates every Sunday. So we've been checking this one out every week. I'm sure we'll do that through its release and then after its release. So this one's a big fish. I can't say for sure, but no, I think it's my most played game on this whole list. So it's going to be right up here at the top. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, that's kind of one of the big fishes. We obviously have played that a ton this year. Okay, next up is Balatro, or Balatro. I'm not actually sure how to say it. For anyone who doesn't know, so this is actually the first look video we did on the channel. And it's essentially a poker roguelike. You go through, you play runs, you get these jokers that give you passive buffs and things. And you kind of have to score points by playing different poker hands. It's a very clever idea. I know people absolutely love this one. I have played this again since the first look, so it'll go in here. Like, I will admit, I don't think I like it quite as much as everybody else does. Like, I don't really see myself getting, hours and hours out of this like a lot of people are. But it is a game that I love watching content on. I've watched a lot of Balatro content. It's a really cool game. It's another one that's a demo. It's not out yet. I know the developer's working really hard to keep putting out new content for it. It's going to be a good one when it comes out, and I will be excited to see how it does whenever that happens. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about here is called Battle Bands. Now, this is a co-op deck builder roguelike where you play as like a little band that's trying to perform in kind of like a Battle of the Bands type thing. And all of your cards are essentially like different hooks and things in like the music, or they can be like groupies and things that give you bonuses. It's a really cool idea. I think the thing that would make me like this one more is actually playing the co-op. I've only played the solo. I have not played this again, but I would play this one again. I definitely thought it was a bit hard. Maybe that was just me. I definitely thought that there were parts of it that were pretty tough. But I would like to see the co-op, so I would play this again. I probably would put this... I'd probably put it towards the back end of would play again. Like I said, it had some cool ideas. I would be interested in trying the co-op, but if we're not talking co-op, I probably wouldn't really go in and play it again by myself. But the co-op will save this and put it on the back end of playing it again. Okay, the next game we're looking at here, this is Blood Dome 99. Which is kind of the upgraded version of Blood Dome Classic, which is a very minimalist bullet heaven wave survival game where you're really just, it's a black and white game. You're like a little dude running around and he's got to shoot like the waves of enemies. I think Blood Dome 99 is much better than Blood Dome Classic was. I think it has a lot more to offer. Better power-up system, a bigger map so you don't just get swarmed immediately like you do in Classic. But I will say I probably won't go back and play it again. I think I did get my fill of this one in the first look. I liked it more than Arrival. I thought it did have some good things going for it, but I think I really saw what I wanted to in the first look. So it's gonna go down here. Like I said, if you guys are big fans of Blood Dome, either Classic or 99, definitely feel free to let me know that why, I should want to play it more. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is Bloons TD6. Obviously, this is a very well-known, very popular game that I've only played for the first time like a week ago, maybe. I think as of this recording, the video isn't even actually technically up yet, but it will be before this comes out. I've only played this one time. I would play it again because it seemed like it had some... I know it has to have like hours and hours and hours of content because I know there's people that have put a ton of time into this one. I would say I liked this one enough when I played it. I would probably say I would probably play it again before I'd play the rest of these. So I would put that probably towards the top of that for now. I don't know if it'll stay there. Like I said, it did have some cool things. It seemed like it had a lot of content. I wasn't super hooked to it, but I would definitely look at it more. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about here is Breakout Survivors. This was another game that we played during the Bullet Heaven Fest. Breakout Survivors it's like the classics, like brick smashing game, Breakout, but as a wave survival not turn-based, like a wave survival roguelike, where you survive, you break all the things, you get upgrades. It's cool. I like this one. I have not played this again. I absolutely would, though. I think that's pretty high on there where I would definitely try this. I'm pretty sure as of this recording, this game just came out like maybe last week, 2 weeks ago. They actually released. So I would go back and check it out again. I thought it had some really cool things. I'm a big fan of classic Breakout. I thought that was a really fun computer game back 15 years ago. So I think they did a really good job with making that like an interesting roguelike. Okay, up next we're going to talk about Cards and Guns. Honestly, I don't remember a lot about this game. I can visualize it. I know, like, it was a wave survival bullet heaven, where you had spells kind of that you could activate that would kill enemies. This one, I don't think this one offered a whole lot. It definitely, I got my fill in the first look for sure. Maybe it's like right next to Arrival. And that it didn't do like a whole lot that really enticed me to want to dive back in. Like I said, I'm sure it had some solid ideas, but I don't see myself really going in. I'm pretty sure this was a demo, but I don't know if I would try the full release when it came out. Maybe I would, but as of this moment, I don't think it's really hitting me with like as a super unique, interesting play. Okay, next up we're going to talk about Champion Shift. This was another wave survival game from the Bullet Heaven Fest that we played. It was a demo, or maybe a prologue. It has both, I think. Now, this one I thought had some unique ideas for sure, in that you could transform between like your champion and like a car to like quickly traverse the map. But it was like a little bit weird though. Like you didn't really have a lot of benefit to be in the car except for when you were trying to get from point A to point B. Like, I think you could put power-ups into the car, and you do, but I don't think it was ever, like, stronger than your champion. I would say my biggest gripe with this one, really, was that the game, the rounds, the waves, were just way too damn long. Like, I liked the concept of it wasn't just always kill the enemy. Sometimes it was kill an elite. Sometimes it was survive a certain amount of time. Like, they had, like, different types of tasks you could do. It could be, like, hunting down, like, a truck or something. It had some cool concepts, but, like, I thought the runs were long. Like, I think the video we did for this one was, like, over 50 minutes long, and we didn't even get to the end. We died, like, right during what I assumed to be, like, the last part. But it seemed like it had some cool characters with some interesting powers. I would try this again. I'd put it there, probably. I would probably play it again. Probably Arcadium more so, mostly because the runs are just way faster. Which a lot of these wave survival games, I think that is paramount. Like, they just can't be too long. Because too long means you're going to play one run and probably that's it. Where if you can get them done in 20 minutes, 15 minutes, I can fit 3 or 4 runs in the same time it takes to beat one run of this, which that matters to me. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is kind of a legendary game. I think a lot of people view this one incredibly highly because of its really cool, unique dice playing mechanic. And this is Circadian Dice. I just played this for the first time like last week. Really cool game. My favorite thing about this, at least in the early rounds, was how short the runs were. I mean, these were 8-minute runs. I mean, you could do 6 waves of this game in 8 minutes. I loved that. I also thought that it has some of the most unique dice play I've really seen in a dice builder roguelike. In that you have a certain amount of dice that you roll every turn that can do different actions, but it actually shows you the 6 faces of your dice, like on the board, and your upgrades are actually like purchasing like better faces to be on them. So like you could be like, oh, this face is you do 1 damage, and this one is you do 1 shield. Oh, well, I have a better thing over here that has 2 damage and 2 shield. So you essentially replace the faces with better ones so that they have a chance to be rolled. Really, really cool idea. I have actually already played this again. I would put that here. I mean, I have not played it as much as Backpack Battles. I would be hard pressed to believe I would ever get to that level. I would have to play this a ton to beat this out, and I'm not even done with Backpack Battles yet. So, but I would put it here. I have already played it multiple times. Really, really liked it. Hope that it continues to keep up the same level of gravitas as it goes on. Because I will say, as you get further, the runs do get longer, and so like that deters from it a little bit. I love the really, really snappy runs. I think that's a great concept, and the dice mechanics are fun. Okay, Cleanup Crew. So Cleanup Crew is another wave survival game from the Bullet Heaven Fest. As you can see, a lot of these will be. It's probably at least like 25 of these are probably demos we played during the Bullet Heaven Fest on Steam. Cleanup Crew I actually really liked. I thought that the runs felt fun. The ambiance was very weird. But I felt like you were scaling pretty well on it. We did win when we played this. I would play this again. It is below Breakout, though. I think we saw a lot of what we would see in Cleanup Crew, but I think I'd put it like there, where I did have fun with it. I would look at it again, because I believe what we played was a demo. So assuming they get more characters, more abilities, more power-ups, things like that, I'd be interested to see what all it has in store. Okay, the next one is Cobalt Core. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Cobalt Core. It came out in November. It is a deck builder roguelike, but like you also have to like control your ship and like dodge enemy attacks and line up your turrets to hit them. It's awesome. It's really, really cool. I get why everybody loves it. Where I would play this again. I haven't. I played the demo and loved it. Like, this is at the top of would play again. I definitely would. I get why people love it. Really, really cool. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about here is Cooking Simulator. I loved Cooking Simulator. I thought this was incredibly fun. The biggest problem with it really was that it just didn't always run on my computer that well because the graphics are pretty, good level. So I had a lot of operating power issues on my computer. But other than that, like gameplay wise, I thought it was insanely fun. I have played it multiple times. I would play it definitely more. I would even probably play it again over Circadian Dice, which I really, really like. But Cooking Simulator is like kind of the masterclass in this type of game. You get different recipes and you like simulate making the food. It's really, really cool. Excuse me, I was just drinking some water there. I've been talking quite a bit, obviously. Cooking Simulator is great. I'd love to dive in and play more. It's a pinnacle in its department, I think. Okay, Core Devourer. I hate saying it. Devourer. I don't know. Devourer is another Bullet Heaven Wave survival game. It's honestly like it had some decent ideas. It didn't really have anything that super wowed me though. I would say I really got my fill in the first look. That's probably a decent spot for it. Like I just don't think it really did anything that was that unique. Maybe I'm wrong. I know people like this one. I don't know. I think you play so many games in this genre, they really have to do some unique things to impress. And I don't know. I wasn't really wowed by it while I was playing it. Like I said, it's no hard feelings. Some things just don't click, and I know people are excited for that one. It is a demo, but I don't know if I'll really tackle the full release when it happens. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is Cowboy 3030. Cowboy 3030 was I don't honestly remember if it was first person or third person. It was a shooter. I think it's a third person. Yeah, because you have to like I believe it's a third person shooter. You play as a cowboy that fights off a bunch of aliens in different waves. You go to different rooms and get power ups and things. I liked this one, but I definitely did have some issues with it. Um, Really, I think this game would be fun in co-op. I believe after we played the game, they did say that that was a thing that would be on the horizon for the game's full release. Would be like an online co-op. That's really the only way I would see myself playing it again. By myself, not really. I don't think it offers that much. Um, but assuming they continue to add new characters, the demo had two. If they add more and you can do online co-op, I at least think that there would be a solid chance I'd play it again. Um, but that's gonna hang out like with battle bands. Um, in that I probably really would only tackle them again if I played it co-op. Solo, I don't really see it that much. Okay, here is another game that I actually have played a lot this year, and that is Crab Champions. For anyone who doesn't know Crab Champions, it's an early access game that really plays out, in my opinion, so much like Risk of Rain 2, in that it's like a third-person shooter that's fast-paced. You go through the levels, get power-ups to go further and further into the waves. I love it. I think it's great. The only thing I can say is after I think I've played this for probably like 30 hours now, you do see definitely pretty much everything the game has to offer. You've used all the weapons. The enemy variety and map variety is really low. Um, you see all the really interesting combinations you can do. I If this game when it does its full like 1.0 release, not the early access, if it adds some more guns and weapon variety and different bosses, hopefully the bosses aren't unique at all. This is going to be a really, really good game. It already is a lot of fun. I played this pretty much exclusively with friends. I love it. I think it's Risk of Rain 2, but honestly faster and easier. I would say for sure. Faster and easier. I mean, this has to be right here because I have played it a ton, and I would play it again. I played it quite a bit this year since I first picked it up. I'm excited to see what happens when it gets its full 1.0 release, but we're not there yet. We'll see what happens. Okay, the next game is Cyclo Chambers. Now, Cyclo Chambers, we played the demo for and actually really liked it, and so I did pick up the full version and play it again. I have to say I did not like the game nearly as much playing it the second time. It's felt very samey. The runs did feel pretty not that unique. Um, but it is charming though. It has some really cool concepts. Um, I like the concept of you get money by pleasing Space Hog with your, how much you entertain him. I don't actually know if it's variable or if that's flavor text. Either way, I do like it though. So I have played this again. I bought the full version, but it is at the bottom of Play It Again. I really liked the demo, so I picked up the full version. Didn't love it nearly as much playing it more. Um, but I do have to put it up there because I did it. The demo made me buy the full game, and then, you know, I can't argue with that. I don't know why Slay the Spire is in this. For some reason, like random icons keep ending up in this, and so I have to keep restarting it. But then I have to make the whole thing again and get rid of it. So I don't know why Slay the Spire's in here. I'm not going to rank that. I did not play it for the first time this year, or even make a first look for it. And if I did, I mean it's up here. It's one of my most played games, so Let's just pretend that Slay the Spire is not in here. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. Now, this is one a lot of people are excited for because it is the Bullet Heaven Wave Survivor game of Deep Rock Galactic made by Ghost Ship. We had fun with this one. Honestly, I didn't love the demo. I know a lot of people did. I didn't actually like the way it played out. It had some cool concepts and like that you could dig up like the environment to like get away from the swarm. I thought that there was way too many enemies and that I didn't feel like you powered up that fast. Maybe that was just me. I know people like this one. I'm not. I mean, I'll play. I'm sure I'll play the full version when it comes out because it'll have the other characters and like more meta progression and stuff. But I get why people enjoyed the demo. I didn't love it though. I thought it was all right. It definitely not my favorite demo I played this year, and I played a lot, but I didn't love it. I am, however, excited for their other new Deep Rock game that they announced, Rogue something. I don't remember what it's called, but I will be excited for that because I mean Deep Rock's just cool. I like the original quite a bit, and like I said, Ghost Ship does a lot of really good work. Excuse me. But let's move on. Okay, the next one is Dethroned. Dethroned was another demo that we played. This was an auto battler where you went around this tile-based map to kind of recruit troops to try to get more powerful. I didn't like this one. I thought this was just hard. Like I said, feel free to say skill issue in a comment. I would hope you don't, but if you do, I get it. Maybe it is a skill issue. I didn't really like this one. I did not have fun with this. I would put this really all the way at the bottom. That I just didn't like the way this was set up. Yeah, that's all that needs to be said. I didn't like the game. Okay, Face Hand. The Face Hand I actually thought was really cool. So essentially, Face Hand plays out like Super Auto Pets, but it's a PvE like offline game that you play solo. So you get like these cards that are all based off of emojis. I don't get why they're based off emojis. I don't love that thematically, but it's actually really cool. You build them up the same way as like a Super Auto Pets where they get attack and health. You level them up. They do different things depending on the order they're in. I think this one's actually a lot of fun. I did play this multiple times. I would probably put that like there. That when this one comes out, assuming it keeps adding things, and it's done some pretty major updates to the game, like even in the demo. It's got some really cool stuff to offer. I would check that one out if you like Super Auto Pets, honestly. That's what it plays like, so. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is Phaeton Simulator. Phaeton Simulator is actually pretty unique. It's a drafting type game where you pick one of 3 cards to like add into your, I'll call it a deck. It's not, I wouldn't call them deck builders. I don't think they are. But they automatically play like in this ring, and then they go around in a circle and activate, and essentially you're trying to gain souls to, I think, yeah, it's like you're trying to summon like a demon of the underworld or something like that. It's very Lovecraftian. It's got some really cool stuff to it. I think it's unique. I've played it a handful of times. I think it's got some pretty cool stuff going for it. I would say I actually like this slightly more than Circadian Dice. Excuse me. That could change the more I play both of them. But as of now, I actually thought that this, as far as drafting games go, which is like, Luck Be a Landlord, Endgame of Devil, that kind of thing, where they automatically play and synergize depending on what they're around. I thought this was one of the more unique ones I played for sure. So I have to give it credit for that. Okay. Excuse me. The next game we're going to talk about is Frog on It. So Frog on It, excuse me, is kind of like a little story-based game where you play as a little frog detective that wants to become the world's greatest explorer. He messes stuff up and bad stuff happens, and then you have to fix it. It's very cute. It's very good. I would play this again. I have not played it more than once. I only played the demo. I would check this one out. I'd probably put it about like there. I would be interested in seeing the story, and playing more of it and kind of, seeing what all Frog on it gets onto. It's very cute. The art style is very nice. Would definitely check this one out. All right, the next game we're going to talk about here is Die in the Dungeon Origins. So technically, it's the first time we played Origins, Origins, which is the new updated version of the demo slash prologue for Die in the Dungeon. We did play the original demo a few months ago, but I actually didn't like Origins as much as I liked the original. I, I mean, they overhauled the art, they overhauled like a lot of the upgrades and stuff. I actually didn't like it as much. I really liked the original demo. I mean, they added some good stuff with like some of the relics and stuff that didn't exist before. I don't think I like it as much. I know that's probably a controversial opinion. Um, I will play this game when it fully comes out, but hopefully they continue to work on it. I'm gonna put that here because I mean I'm not gonna go back and play this demo anymore. I really hope the game continues to develop. I liked the original demo more. I don't know what it was. I don't know, something about it. I just liked the way it felt. Hopefully I'm wrong. When the game comes out, we'll see. But because it's really cool, it's a dice builder game where you have to slot them into like this board. It's got some really cool ideas. Like it's probably not even fair to put it here because I'll play the full version when it comes out for sure. It's probably not fair to put it there. I probably would put it. I mean, hell, it's got to be at the top of this, genuinely. Because if we're talking about this game, I mean, I'm playing this when it comes out, so this is probably genuinely more fair. Because I will definitely play this when it comes out. So, okay, the next one we're going to talk about is From Ashes Bloom. This is another like wave survival game. You play as like the spirit that's trying to stop humanity from chopping down the trees. It's cute. It's got a clever concept. It doesn't have very much content. I believe this was a demo. I hope it was a demo because it just didn't have a lot of content. I think I got my fill in the first look. It was not bad. It definitely wasn't bad, but I don't really think I would dive back in. Like I said, it just doesn't really have a whole lot of content to it. I think the next one we're gonna talk about here is Dottage. Dottage. I don't actually know. Um, this was actually a really cool game. It was like a civilization builder where you had to also like fend off like the apocalypse and stuff. I like it. I thought it was very fun. I honestly don't really know if I'm gonna play it again. It's been out for a little while, and I really haven't thought about buying it. I think the runs are just really really long. Like I mean, even though we played the demo, I think that was like almost an hour and a half, and I mean we didn't even finish it. We just were like, okay, we gotta. Maybe we did. I think we actually did get to the end of the demo. I think we survived. I know it was some cool ideas. This is one that I would say I definitely get why people love it. I don't really have a lot of intention to dive back in, but I definitely get why it's a cool game. I know people love it. Understandably so. I think, and the developer does a great job. He's always updating it. We've been following the game for a while. Definitely love that. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about here is Elemental Survivors. I got to say, I didn't like this game at all. I thought that their meta progression is not a thing that I think is good. Like, I like the game in the sense of you can get like different party members in this like Bullet Heaven Wave Survivor game. But you are so limited in what you can do in the first run of this game because the meta progression is what allows you to get more heroes and more weapons and things. You have to put points in that allow you to do that. I think that has to be something that's available from the start. Otherwise, you're telling me I have to sit through this game in a very boring format to get to the time when it's actually fun. I don't like that. I think it's very not well made in that sense. I didn't like this game at all. It's hanging out with Dethroned. Just games I just didn't like. Like I said, if I'm wrong and you guys love these, I love to hear it. I'm glad that they have, supporters and followers. I didn't think it was fun. I thought it could have been fun if you had access to other heroes and power-ups. I mean, early on you only get one extra party member, and you can only carry like 1 or 2 weapons. When you max out the meta progression, you get like a full at least like 4-person party, and like everybody gets like a bunch of weapons. So like there's cool stuff happening. I just think that they like dumb it down and make it less fun early, and you have to play it a bunch to get to the point where it's fun. But if the game's not fun, I'm not going to play it enough to get to that point. So I didn't like that. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about here is Heroes Wanted. Heroes Wanted just came out like a week or two ago. It's a cool, unique spin on like a deck builder. You essentially pick different heroes of 3 different elements: earth, water, and fire. They each are good against one and bad against the other. So you have to strategically use them against the enemies. Like if they have all water guys, you have to use grass because they're twice as effective, where fire is half effective against water. So you have to really have a balance of the different attributes in your deck. It's actually a really interesting concept. I think it plays out pretty well. I have only played it once. I do have it. It's the full version of the game. I would definitely play this more. It's probably somewhere around here, probably there. Well, I would definitely dive in and check out more of what the game has to offer. It seems like it has a pretty decent amount of different classes you can have. It is traditional, like roguelike pathing, where you pick the fights on the map that you want to go, like the directions, and I believe it's probably 3 acts long. So it's very traditional in that sense. But the combat is unique. I think it's got some pretty cool ideas. Okay. The next one we're going to talk about here is Ember Ward. So Ember Ward is a tower defense game with the unique concept of essentially you get these Tetris-looking blocks that you put on the map that can kind of change the pathways that the enemies have to go. And all of your turrets and things that you use to defend, you have to position on these Tetris blocks. It's actually really cool. I've been following this one pretty much since it's been announced. I really think it's cool. I enjoyed the demo. The only problem was it did crash when I was playing the demo right before we got to the boss. It did crash, which was lame. But I can't really blame them for that. Who knows if it's their issue or mine? I don't know. I think... Oh, no. The problem was... I think it probably was more my issue because it was just there was so much happening on the screen that I don't think my computer could handle it. But this one I really liked. I would play this again when the full version comes out. I'd probably put it about there. But it very cool. Had some great concepts. I love the idea of actually blocking the enemy path so they have to kind of move where you want them to. So you can position your turrets thusly. It's very cool. I like this one a lot. Ember Ward is what it is called. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is Hunchback's Dungeon. Now, this is another very minimalist, simplistic Bullet Heaven Wave Survivor. I actually did enjoy it, though, quite a bit. I have no problem with them being minimalist as long as like the stuff that's happening is like fun and interesting. I think this one does a good job of that. I would say I will play this when the full version comes out. So I probably would put it right about somewhere around here. Maybe here. Just because I like this genre a little bit more than I like tower defense. But I think it's, like I said, it's pretty simplistic, at least in its initial demo form. But it had some pretty cool stuff. I would look at this. I enjoyed it. I've been following the journey of that one for a bit too. Very, very fun. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about here is Infinite Seek and Find. Now, Infinite Seek and Find is... Conceptually, I want to like it, but it is very simplistic. There's no challenge to it whatsoever. It reminds me of like the old I Spy books, where it's like, there's a bunch of stuff on the screen, and they're like, oh, I need you to find the binoculars. And so you have to like look around. But you can't fail. There's no challenge really, because every item that's on the screen eventually you're gonna have to look for. So, and you don't have to find them in the right order, so you can just click things and it'll be like, oh, okay, you did it. This could be really fun. I don't love the way it's made. I would not go back and play more of this. Somewhere around here. I don't know. I got my fill. I want to like it. Because, like, I like, you know, Cats Hidden in Italy, Cats Hidden in Paris, that kind of thing. Where you have to just, you know, look for things. But this is, like, the most simplistic version of it. It's not that fun. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Night Overloaded. So this is a game that I don't know if it actually just came out. I know I just picked it up recently. It's essentially another Bullet Heaven Wave Survivor game, but your power-ups are all in a backpack hero style inventory system. I actually think it looks a little too much like Backpack Hero in the way that they designed like the inventory and the weapons and things. So in that sense, I mean, it plays out kind of like God of Weapons, where you essentially have to connect your weapons in your bag and things. I had some issues with the way this one was structured. I didn't love it. I think your scaling is extremely slow. Um, it's not great. I would say I got my fill in the first look, but it's not the worst thing that I think I've played recently. Um, and this was a full game that I did buy. I had some issues with the way it ran. I think the scaling was bad. Um, I don't know. Like I said, it's not terrible, but I probably got my fill. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Laboratory X-29. This is another game that we played recently. It's another Wave Survivor type game, but this is kind of more... It's kind of more like Binding of Isaac style Enter the Gungeon, where you go into different rooms, as opposed to just sitting on a blank map. This one I like conceptually, of the sense of it is wacky. Like, you have this healing thing that you can use it. You have to use it pretty regularly because your health is going down at all times. So you have to use this healing, but every time you do it also comes paired with like a negative effect. Which is mostly fun. I don't like the chicken gun because it makes it so that your gun doesn't do any damage. So essentially you're just killing time. Like, you're like, I'm about to die, so you heal, but then when you heal, your gun no longer does damage. So you're just sitting there taking damage until you have to heal again. But I think this one is solid, but I didn't personally like it too much. It gets very bullet hell like. It gets a lot of just damage on the screen that you can't do a whole lot about. Also, I think the controls are like a little bit not that smooth feeling. Like I said, I like the guy making it. He's very appreciative of people playing it. I know he's putting a lot of work into it, but I didn't love it. This was definitely, I got my fill in the first look type deal. I probably put it like here, maybe here. I don't know. This is fine. If people like this, like if they like this style of like kind of Enter the Gungeon like top-down shooter, I think you can have some fun with it. I had quite a bit of issues with it though, so it's not my favorite thing that I played recently. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Fatal Zone. Fatal Zone I actually liked a decent amount. I've actually played this a handful of times. It is another Bullet Heaven Wave Survivor game. But this one I actually like some of the concepts of you have to survive until the helicopter arrives and it comes in different intervals. So you can essentially decide to leave early if you're having a bad run and you don't think you can survive until the next helicopter comes. Or you could try to push it out to get better rewards because you survived longer. But if your character dies, they die permanently. So you lose all their upgrades and things that you put on them. So you actually play as multiple different characters and you can purchase more different agents to use instead. I actually think this one's a lot of fun. I actually had quite a bit of fun with this. Like I said, I have played it multiple times. I'd put it probably there. And I would definitely play this again. But maybe not as much as some of these other ones. Okay. The next game we're going to talk about here is Lost Potato. So Lost Potato is the first game by developer Blobfish, which a lot of you may know from Brotato, or maybe you're even familiar with Space Gladiators. It's also on this list right here. We just played this for the first time a couple weeks ago. I thought Lost Potato had some charm to it. Very quick game. You're a little potato guy, and the only way you can kill enemies is by either deflecting their bullets at them or pushing them at spikes and other like hazards. You can't actually hurt them. It's very minimalist. It's very fast. It's got some really nice things to it. I've only played it the one time. I would actually play. I would mess around in this a little bit more though. I think it had some fun concepts to it. I do think it's towards the back. Oh no, I have not played it again. Sorry. It would be I would play it again, but I haven't. Um I'd put it like maybe here. It's like in the middle of I'd play it again. Like I'm not like, urging to play it again. Like I don't have a, crave for it. But I would not be opposed to playing it again either. I would dive in and just mess around a little bit more with Lost Potato. Okay. So the next game we're going to talk about here is called Farm Keeper. This was actually a game that I thought was pretty clever. It's kind of another like farming drafting game where like the things you're kind of just trying to make money by your things synergizing with the spaces around them. But I thought this one was fun. It had some clever ideas. It's very simple, but like I would say simple to learn, hard to master. And you have to position your things so well that you're making enough money to continue going on. As you go on, you unlock different produce and animals and things to put on your farm. Like I said, I think it's a very simple concept, but it's fun. I have played this a handful of times, and I would play it more. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about here is Feisty Fauna. It's another demo we played during Bullet Heaven Fest. Essentially, you're a mother chicken whose babies get taken by someone. So you go out and you try to fend them off. And I thought the best thing this game had going for it was the different types of missions that you had to do. Sometimes it was survive a certain amount of time. Sometimes it was kill a certain amount of enemies. Sometimes it was, defeat a handful of elites. Sometimes it was rescue a certain amount of chickens. I thought that was a very good concept instead of just, surviving as you defeat enemies. It added a little bit of extra zest to it, I think. But otherwise, I'm not super interested in playing this again. I don't think the combat is, like, really amazing. I don't know. It's probably towards the top of this, honestly, where I don't think it's bad. I think it's got some cool concepts. The story is charming enough. I don't think I would dive in and play more, but definitely not bad. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about here is called Frog. So Frog is like this little 2D platformer kind of where you attack only in the directions that your frog can see, and so you're kind of leaping around to the spaces around you, like on the walls and ceilings and trying to hit the enemies. But it's kind of real time. Like it's turn-based, but it's kind of not, because the enemies can kind of, if you take too long with your actions, the enemies are doing things too. I think it's a very clever design. I did not particularly like it that much. I thought it was pretty difficult. I think the fact that the enemies were moving, like it was turn-based, but the enemies were also kind of moving with you, was weird. I don't think it felt great. I get why people would like it. I did not enjoy this very much. Like I said, it had some cool things going for it. I would not play this again, though. This is pretty low down here. Alright. The developer's doing a great job with it. It's cool. It's charming. I don't love it, though. Okay. The next game we're going to talk about is Mosalina. Now, a lot of you may be familiar with Mosalina. It definitely had a good amount of time in the sun when it was released. This is essentially a very minimalist 2D platformer where you get randomized weaponry that you can use and to make platforms and do different effects to get you over to collect these fruits so that you can win the levels. It's very charming, it's very clever, it's very simple. I get why people love this. I loved it too. I played this a handful of times. It's very good. I would probably put that about here. I think it might be fair. Like I said, I have played it already. I played the demo originally. It made me want to get the game when it came out. The game, I think, is $4.99. Super worth it. Has some really clever concepts to it. It's all randomized. The stages are random. The weapons you get are random. It's very cool. It requires a lot of brain power. I like it a lot. Okay. The next game we're going to talk about here is Nimrods. Nimrod? Singular? Honestly don't remember. I think it's Nimrods, plural. Guncraft Survivor. So this is another Wave Survivor game, but it's got some pretty cool concepts of the way you craft your guns. All your upgrades are like different parts you can add onto your guns. And then if you lose a run or when a run ends, you can actually have your little robot companion use the gun that you had from the last run. And it kind of develops it over time like you did in the previous run. It's pretty cool. It's got some good things to it. I would play this again. I'm interested to see what happens when this one releases, because this was a demo. I know people have really liked this. I don't blame them. It is good. I would put it about here. I definitely would dive in more, especially once it releases and we can see all of what it has to offer. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is called Frog-like. So it's like roguelike with frog, frog-like. This game was fun. You played as a little frog that had to fight off like a bunch of bugs. Honestly, I don't remember it super well. It was one of the first ones we did for the first looks. I don't think the scaling in the game was very good. I really don't remember 100% well. I don't think I would really play this again, but I didn't dislike it. It was a demo. Like I said, I hope they add more content. I'm assuming it was lacking in it a bit. But yeah, like I said, not a whole lot to say about it. Not my favorite game we played, but not terrible. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is News Tower. News Tower we just played recently, and it was a closed beta for this like simulator, like tycoon game where you are essentially the head of this newspaper factory or newspaper company. You have to hire people to do the different jobs. You have to send out reporters, and essentially you're trying to get people to buy your newspaper. It's very, very good. I enjoyed this quite a bit. Like I said, we were in a closed beta, so it's not out. We can't really go back and play it again currently. But I absolutely would play this when it comes out. Like, this is towards the top. It might even be the top of would play again. Really liked it. Would want to see what continues to happen. It seemed like they actually had quite a bit of depth and things you had to manage. Absolutely would play this again when it actually releases. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Nuclear Throne. I just got around to playing this for the first time, like last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. I know it's been out since 2013. This is like the inspiration game for Enter the Gungeon. So it plays very, very similar. I'm not good at these games. I'm not good at them. I like them enough. I don't love them. I had some fun with this. I would play it again, but I wouldn't be itching to play it again because it's just these bullet hell, like top-down shooters, they're just not my favorite genre. I suck at them really bad. So I would play this again. I would actually put this in solid game, and I get why people like it. I think I possibly would play it again, but I wouldn't be hurt if I never played it again either. I definitely get it's charming. It's very weird. It's got some good things to it. Not my favorite game in the world, though, but I definitely get why people like it. Okay, next we're going to talk about Grimdark Survivors. This game seemed to have taken heavy inspiration from Brotato in the way that you buy your upgrades and your different weapons and things, but I think it does not feel as fun to play or as smooth as Brotato at all. I thought this one was hard. The upgrades you got were awful most of the time. Like, the enemies outscaled you a lot. I did not have fun playing this. This is definitely, this is hanging out somewhere with these. I did not have fun with this one at all. Like I said, I hope nobody takes offense to when I say these things. It's just one random guy's opinion online. But I did not have fun with that one at all. That was Grimdark Survivors. Okay, this is another Bullet Heaven Wave Survivor game, Ocelot Sunrise. I know people are excited for this. There are people that have definitely liked this. I think a lot of people really like the dark comic book art style, which I thought was very nice as well. I didn't like this game at all, though. I did not have fun with it. I thought the scaling was bad. I thought you got surrounded and killed very, very quickly. That's hanging out with these ones. I didn't like it. Like I said, I hope other people did. Never trying to hurt someone's feelings. Just not fun for me at all. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is Gunbrella. Now, Gunbrella is like a little side-scroller shooter kind of thing. Um, your guy carries around an umbrella. He uses it for traversal and as like a shotgun, I think. This was one of the first looks we did, so I don't remember the gameplay all that well. I know it had an interesting narrative. I'm not planning on going back and playing this. I thought it did some nice things. I get why people like it. I would put it like here. I definitely get why people enjoyed this. Not my favorite game, but yeah. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Gun Run. Gun Run I actually liked. I only played it the one day, but it did some really clever things, I thought, with it's a very minimalist wave survivor game, but when you get upgrades, you can only have a set amount of upgrades. So every time you get an upgrade, you have to replace one that you have. But it does kind of allow you to scale a bit because you can be like, oh, this one gives me 2 attack, so I'll get rid of my upgrade that's a 1 attack. So you technically are scaling, but I think it really helps you craft the runs in interesting ways because your builds don't feel the same. Because you have to get rid of your other upgrades, you can only have so many things going on that you kind of have to tailor it in a certain direction. I actually thought Gun Run was fun. I would play this again. I know the developer's been working on it quite a bit. He said recently that it's already changed quite a bit from the time that we played it, which was not that long ago. So I will definitely be interested to see what happens with that. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Gunsuit Guardians. This is another game where it's the full release. This is not a demo. I like this one enough. I thought it had some interesting things going for it. It's not super unique. But I think it gets the job done in terms of like the genre. It's not bad. I would probably play it again, but like this is pretty low on here. Play it again, where like it had some good things. I would dive in. I think you can unlock some pretty good things with the meta progression. I think. So I would dive back in, but wouldn't be itching to do it necessarily. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Hero of Loot Gauntlet of Power. This was another kind of wave survival game. You play, at least initially, as like this archer guy, and you equip your weapons, and they're like around you. You have like 8 stacks of weapons like around you. So like he had bows that would like auto target the enemy. This one was not bad. I kind of remember the excuse me. I kind of remember the runs being a bit long. I definitely actually remember the game being way too long. Because I think it had like 10 levels, which it just you don't progress through it that quickly. I would not be itching to play this again. I don't think it's bad. I'd put it like here. I thought it had some interesting things going for it, but I don't think I'd really dive back in. Like I said, the runs were way too long. Okay. The next game we're going to talk about is Potion Craft Alchemist Simulator, I believe. This one I've played multiple times and liked it a lot. Essentially, you run a potion shop and you have to like harvest ingredients and figure out what works together to make the different types of potions you can sell people. And making the potions is like on this little map where you have to like move around like your potion icon until it hits where it's trying to go. It's very fun. It's got some really good ideas. I would put this towards the top of playing again because I have played it multiple times recently and definitely enjoyed my time with it. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about here is Rack and Slay. This is the billiards roguelike. I was not good at it necessarily. I did win. I think this has some really fun concepts. I really like what he was going for with it. I think he continues to add power-ups and different enemies and things to spice it up. So I will definitely be interested to see what happens when this fully releases. I'll be keeping my eye on it because we will go to play it again. Um, yeah, not much needs to be said about it. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about here was called Critter. This was another demo. It's a wave survivor game where you're kind of protecting or defending. I combined them to defecting. You're protecting like this supercomputer named Mark from the waves of enemies. I did not enjoy this one. I thought the scaling was not good. I thought Mark got his rump kicked in. It seems like one of the games where it becomes a lot more possible as you get the meta progression to increase his health and your health and things. I don't see how this one you can really win without the meta progression, which is not my favorite way to structure a game. I am not against meta progression at all, but I feel like games should be, at least in theory, like playable and winnable without it. This one didn't feel like that was really the case. I would put that about there, maybe here, as I don't think I would tackle this one more. I definitely think I got the fill from it. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Looper Tactics. Another game I just played for the first time recently, even though I know it's not actually new. This was a deck builder game. Its combat was actually kind of clever. It almost reminded me of like an Inscription, but it was definitely slightly different from that as well. They would like automatically attack the enemies that they were across from. You also had like your hero, like your champion that had to be protected. It had some good ideas. It did. It's not. It wasn't my favorite thing in the world. I would probably play this again, but I wouldn't be clamoring necessarily to do so. I'd put it about here. That it's definitely something I would tackle more, but it's not my favorite thing I played either. Okay, I already said Slay the Spire shouldn't even be here. I don't know why it's here. I must have just had its icon and it just got mixed in. Like I said, that would be number one, but I'm not going to rank it because it's not a first look. We have played that many times in the past. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Luckland. We actually played the Luckland's demo, but then ended up with the full copy of the game. But I didn't actually play it again yet, so I am able to. I haven't. This is a Luck Be a Landlord style like slot machine drafting game. It had some pretty cool ideas to it. I would definitely play this again. And I'm sure I will at some point. I have not dove back into it, though. Lucky Hero is kind of a slot machine game combined with like a it's not really a deck builder, but like that kind of like Slay the Spire looking combat. My biggest gripe with this was the runs I thought were just way too long. I mean, I think we played this for like an hour and a half, and like we were like 75% of the way through when we died. That's really long. Way too long. I thought it had some interesting concepts, but it's not my favorite drafting game that's been developed. I thought it left some things to be desired. I probably won't play this again. I would put it towards the top of this, though. I think it has some, like, good concepts. Like I said, way too freaking long, though. Like, stupidly long. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is Lucky Mayor. Another drafting type game. But this one is you draft people, and they get randomly put into groups, and then they can either make products or take products that have been made, and they give you money. This is very good. I've only played it the one time recently, but I really liked this. I would definitely play this more. This is like, I probably actually liked it more than Phaeton Simulator. It's close. They're both unique versions of this game. Oh, but I haven't played it again, though. Idiot. I have not played it again, but I would. I would actually... This is towards the top. I definitely would play this again. And like I said, I do have the game, so there's a good chance that I will play it again in the near future. I'm a big fan of the Luck Be a Landlord drafting type games where you pick between the different options and then they auto-play. I'm a big fan. Okay, the next one we're going to look at here is Midnight at the Disco. This was actually the first game we played during the Bullet Heaven Fest on Steam. I actually had fun with this one. I thought it had some good concepts. I liked there's a thing where you like place bombs to like blow up enemies. I did think it was definitely hard. I would play this one again. It's not at the top of this, but it's not at the bottom either. I'd say it's probably about here. Like, excuse me, where I definitely would play it again, if the situation arises. I believe it was a demo. So it should have some more things when it releases. I could, however, be wrong. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about was Manita's Kitchen. This was a game where you played as a dinosaur and you made pizza. This was a great game. I loved this. As you can probably tell, I'm a big fan of cooking games. I just think they're really fun. And yeah, you were a dinosaur and you went around and you made specific pizza orders for people. We didn't get that far into it because it was a demo, so it did cut us off pretty early. But I definitely would play this again when it comes out. It's probably like about there. It's pretty high, and I would play it again. Like I said, dinosaurs making pizza, what's not to like? Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Soul King. Soul King is like a retro Doom-inspired first-person shooter. It had a pretty interesting, like, psychedelic story about going into, like, people's souls and, like, helping them. They also had, like, this wall that chases you the whole time, so you have to go quick, which makes the gameplay really intense. I actually liked this. I don't know if I would play it again. Retro first-person shooters are not my favorite genre. It's definitely one where I would say I get why people like it, and people should play it if they like that type of genre. It's just not a genre that I like very much, so I probably wouldn't really go back in. But the next one we're going to talk about here is Space Gladiators, which is the second game made by Blobfish that made Lost Potato and Brotato. This one's cool. I only played it the one day. I would play it again. I'm going to put it like right around Lost Potato, where I would play it again. It was a pretty tough, like 2D action game. I like the leveling up system, or the power up system. I think is quite good. You have to balance a lot of things, which is pretty fun. I think that's a good spot for it though, right around Lost Potato. Both I would play again, but haven't. Okay, the next one is Monsters Till Midnight. This, I believe, was a full game, not a demo, that we played during the Bullet Heaven Fest on Steam. I didn't like this one at all. I'll be honest. It was kind of is like Enter the Gungeon. Like, it looks a little bit like it, and the gameplay is kind of like it. I think there's just things that didn't work. I don't like how many dead ends there are in like your little mansion you're fighting in. You get blocked off a lot. The scaling is really bad. This is down with these. I didn't like this one very much. Like I said, not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, not trying to be too harsh. Just trying to be honest and let the people know how I feel. I just realized that this, you can't see everything now. Let me go a little bit like, let me try to fix this real quick. Because this little guy's getting cut off. And we don't want that. We want you to be able to see everything. There we go. How about that? Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is Nevermorn. Nevermorn was an interesting game. It was a roguelike about necromancy, where your staff had two sides that did different things. So you would swap between the side of your staff that did like magic spells to to kill enemies, and you would swap to the other side, which would be the necromancy, where you could actually revive enemies that were you took out. I thought that concept was good. The gameplay itself, I didn't actually like very much. It didn't feel that fun to play. It also was pretty hard. At least in the one playthrough we did, it seemed pretty hard. It seemed like your guys that you respawned, because you could only respawn a couple of guys at a time. It seemed like they died a lot. And once they were dead, you were pretty much boned, because you couldn't really do anything without them. So I think this one's, like, good. I'd put this, like, towards the top. It is good. I probably wouldn't really play it again, but I get why people like it. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about here is called Mining Mechs. Now, Mining Mechs just came out a couple weeks ago, I think. I picked up the game pretty quickly. I've absolutely loved this. Mining Max. I have absolutely loved this game. I think it's just really fun. It's just a mining game. You dig into the ground, you collect resources, you sell them to get upgrades to your mech. This is amazing. This is one of the best games I played this year. I've liked it that much. Like I said, there's no combat in it. It's really you're just doing these missions about collecting different ores and selling them. I love it. I've played it a bunch. If you've been watching the channel recently, you see that there's a lot of videos of it. And I'm not done with it. I'm gonna definitely continue to play it. Okay, the next game we're gonna talk about is Stellar Watch. This was another demo that we played during the Bullet Heaven Fest on Steam, of course, because why wouldn't it be? I did not like this one very much. I thought it had some cool concepts in the way that you position like your gunships around you and you have to like rotate, but that also made it really awkward feeling. There were a lot of times where cuz your gunships could die and there's a lot of times where you would be trying to rotate into like the correct position and then you would whack them into like an enemy and they would die. And it happened like a lot. Um So conceptually, I think this is cool. I don't like it that much though. I thought playing it was a little awkward. Um, so it was not my favorite. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Noxious Weeds. This was another demo that we played during the Bullet Heaven Fest on Steam. This was honestly I don't remember it all that well. I believe I honestly I don't remember it all that well. I think I'm getting it confused with Pesticides Not Required. Okay, no. I can remember this now. It was alright. It was alright. It wasn't the greatest thing. Um this was the one where you had to run around and pick up the plants and stuff, and you'd get the different like harvesting tools and stuff to fight with. It wasn't bad. It's another one where I'd say I get why people like it. I probably am not really gonna play it again much. Maybe I would. Because it's not bad. It had some decent concepts to it. Honestly, I'm gonna just while it's on my mind, I'm gonna switch to Pesticides Not Required. This was the one I believe where you had like you planted a bunch of things and like you had to go over and like pick them to give you money to buy more power-ups. I believe that was Pesticides Not Required, which I actually liked more. I thought the farming concept was interesting. I would probably play this again. It's not super high on the list, but it's not super low on the list either. I would say it's like here, probably. Excuse me. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Simidance, another demo that we played during Bullet Heaven Fest. This one was like you were like a little tank, and you had to like upgrade your guns, and you could make it so you had like multiple tanks like with you. I This one was okay. I didn't like it very much. I would say I got my fill of this one during the thing. It's not at the bottom, but it's not at the top either. I'd say it's like there. Like it's not bad. I didn't love it. The next game we're gonna talk about is Orbital Bullet. I bought this game because it was on sale. It had an interesting concept where it's like 360 degrees, like in a ring. Um, it was weird. I didn't play like super fun. I also think the runs might have been long. Like I said, I'm gonna apologize in advance from like my memory is not super good. I can like conceptualize most things, but sometimes games start to blend together a little bit when you play a lot of different things. Um, this one I got my fill the first time I played it. Like I said, it's not bad, but it wasn't my favorite game in the world either. I can already tell that our game is gonna get eaten again, and that I'm gonna have to make more space so that we can continue to see, because we're starting to get eaten a little bit. Like, when we make another row, it's going to get blocked off again. It's tough to, like, make these where you have to slice so much off of the screen when you're doing these tier lists because there's so many dumb ads around. And I don't want to show them. Okay. The next game we're going to talk about is Talented. Talented was actually pretty cool. It was you pick your character and he sits like in the middle of the screen and enemies would come from the 4 cardinal directions and you'd have to like turn to like fire at them. And the best thing about this was the skill tree is insanely big. There's so many different things you can choose from. I did play this multiple times. I liked it quite a bit. I will put it like here. I actually did play this multiple times, liked it quite a bit. Would actually play it again. I would dive in and play it again and see what different, like, other different things you can get on your skill tree. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is the Arena Pit. This was another demo we played during Bullet Heaven Fest. I did not like this one very much. It didn't feel smooth. The power-ups weren't that interesting. Like I said, I'm never trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I know I have to say that a lot because I always do feel bad saying things, negative things about, games that people make. But I didn't think this one was fun. It's probably somewhere down here. I didn't like it. It like conceptually wasn't bad, but it just didn't play very fun. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Time Walker Dark World. This was a game we played recently that I think actually just came out recently, and it's 1.0. This was an auto battler where you had 4 heroes, and they were on the left side of the screen, and they would automatically go and fight the guys on the right. You would get a whole bunch of different spells and things that you could upgrade. This one I have played multiple times and actually liked. I thought this had some fun to it for sure. I'd probably put it about there. I would dive in and see what more spells we can get. I think there are more, like, a decent amount of characters that we haven't found yet or unlocked. There's also different difficulties. I think that one's fun. I would play that one for sure more. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Power Fantasy. I will give Power Fantasy credit because it's free. It was a free-to-play, like, Bullet Heaven survival game. That being said, though, there's really not anything super unique about this game. It had some, like, different, like, paths you could take to do, like, ice or fire or, like, arcane, which unlocked different spells you could get, which was a pretty cool idea. The combat's alright. And as much as, an auto battling, Bullet Heaven combat can be, it's not bad. I probably wouldn't play this again, but it's like right at the top of this because I did actually think it was not bad. It's just there wasn't a whole lot like unique to it, I don't think. This was another demo we played during Bullet Heaven Fest, and this one I honestly didn't like very much, and this was Roboom. I thought the scaling was really, really bad because as with all these games, you would kill an enemy and they would drop experience crystals. And usually I let the enemies drop the crystals. I skirt all the way around the screen and I come back and pick them up. But this one had an enemy that would come and eat the crystals. So essentially, if you didn't pick them up right away, you would lose them. I hated that system. I thought that was not fun at all. Because you didn't do enough damage to just power through everybody to be able to go and just pick up the crystals immediately. So we were never able to scale because of that, because all of our crystals got eaten. Which I found out that was happening after we played. When I talked to the developer about it, I didn't like that concept. I thought it really, really hurt Roboom. So this is one that I probably wouldn't play again unless that changed. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Rogue Genesia. This is another Bullet Heaven Wave Survivor demo that we played during Bullet Heaven Fest. This one had like a roguelike progression system to it, like you'd follow like the Slay the Spire like board. It had some decent ideas. I don't know. There was something about this that I didn't think felt that great. It might have been the scaling. It wasn't bad, but it's not one that I'd be looking to dive into and play again, really. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Robo Dunk. Robo Dunk is a game where you play as little robots in 2v2 basketball, and the only way you can score points is dunking. But depending on how long you hold your dunk, you can actually score more than 2 points. You could score up to four, I think. Um, and there are different robots with different powers that you can use to like stop the enemy and knock the ball out of their hand and stuff. This is a game I would definitely say I would play again, but it's similar to these. I'd play again in it does actually have co-op. Excuse me, but I haven't played it. That's the only way I'd play it again because it kind of has a Super Mario Strikers feel to it, which I mean is a compliment because the original Mario Strikers for the GameCube was a game I played a lot of. And so this had a very similar feel in the way that you'd be like, do you worry about the ball and scoring or do you worry about taking out the enemies? And there's a fine line. So Robo Dunk is pretty interesting in that way. Um, okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Sea of Survivors. This was another demo we played. It is a wave survivor game, but it plays out a little differently because you're a pirate ship. So you kind of have almost tank controls with like the way you can turn your ship and angle your different weapons. This one I have played multiple times because I bought the game when it released after playing the demo. It had some good concepts to it. I would say it's probably about there. Excuse me. I'd say it's about there. I have played it again. I probably would play it again, because it has a decent amount of things to unlock. I like the different weapons. They do feel different to use. The game definitely gets harder as you get further. It's a well put together game. I enjoy it quite a bit. Okay, now it's time for another demo that we played that we absolutely loved. This was Snacktorio. Snacktorio, essentially, you had to set up different machines to automate making different food. Like in the demo, you had to make like this tomato soup for like this giant monster. So you have to set up like all these different pipes and electrical wires to connect all your machines to harvest tomatoes and then replant the tomatoes and then turn them into pesto and slice them up into sauce and then all come together to combine into a soup that feeds to the enemy. And you have to make a certain amount, like, I think for that quest, it was like your machine has to automate putting out 10 soup per second or 10 soup per minute or something. And it had to hold that level for 6 minutes or 5 minutes. So you couldn't luck into it. You had to actually have it well crafted 4 or 5 minutes in order to win the round. I loved this game. I thought this was fantastic. This is the top of I would play it again. Like, I've been keeping an eye on this game for a while now. I was so excited when the demo got announced. I really liked this. I definitely am excited for this one to get its full release because I like automation, man. Automation is fun. Setting the stuff up, making the food. Very, very, very fun. Definitely want to play that again when it comes out. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Soul Knight Survivor. So Soul Knight Survivor is another demo that we played during Bullet Heaven Fest on Steam. I thought this one had some good pieces to it. I would say I would play this again when it comes out. It's not super, super high on the list, but it's not low either. I thought it actually was fun. I thought it had some good pieces to it. I think the runs might have been a little bit long. I don't like the ending of when you quote unquote win a run. But I definitely did have some fun with that. It had some unique concepts to it, so we're liking that one. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about here is Soul Stalker. I really need to talk about Soul Stalker and, excuse me, I'm going to move this up, and Wanted Shadows together because I'm trying to differentiate which one was which. They are made by the same guy, so they are similar. One of them, I think this was the Wave Survivor one, and this was like the roguelike one. I think. Maybe I'm misremembering. They were both decent. I would put them both like I get why people like them. I'm not really clamoring to play them again. Um, I think, yes, Soul Stalker was the one where you like it kind of followed like a wave roguelike like progression, and this one I think was the wave based one. I would say I liked Soul Stalker more. They're both solid. I get why people enjoy them. Um, Not necessarily clamoring to play them more, but the developer does good work. Like I said, he put out two pretty solid games, and I know he's working on more, so we will keep an eye out for that. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Spell Rogue. This is a very popular roguelike demo. It's another dice type game. It uses like dicey dungeon type mechanics where you roll the dice and then you put them in the different spaces to activate your different abilities. This was fun. I liked this one actually a lot. I would put it like it's hanging out with like Die in the Dungeon and Cobalt Core. I might actually like it more. It's tough, but maybe not. It's tough. These three together are similar. Um, but Spell Rogue, a lot of people are highly anticipating. I believe the early access is coming out in January. Um, had some fun with this one for sure. Like I like dice games personally, and like using the different dice rolls to activate different abilities. It's clever, and I like it too because it doesn't just always make 6 the best roll. There are certain things where it's like, well, you have to get a 3 or less. You have to get an odd number. I think they make that pretty fun. Okay, here's another game that we played the demo recently that we've been following for a long time. We're very excited for this one to get released because we had a lot of fun with it. And that's Spilled. Spilled, I love. It's just a pretty minimalist game. There's no words, there's no dialogue, but you're a little ship on the water that's cleaning up oil spills, and you can turn them in to like this thing, and it gives you money. You use that money to buy power ups so you can hold more oil, or you have like a bit bigger spout thing. It's very, very good. This is like right at the top also. Like these are some of the recent demos we played that we really are excited for the release. Like it's just a very relaxing, very simple. It like I said, there's no words, but you understand exactly what's going on and what you have to do without it telling you anything. I'm a big, big, big fan. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Survivors of the Dawn. This was another demo we played of a Bullet Heaven Wave Survivor type game. It also had some roguelike progression to it where you would follow like the Slay the Spire type map. Um, and you'd get different things. Although I'll be honest, like the different selections on the map didn't feel very different at all. Um, like even if you saw like a treasure chest, it still was just a bunch of waved enemies you had to survive. I thought that was a little odd, but I had a decent amount of fun with this one. Um, I'd put it like around with some of these guys, where like it's probably at the bottom if I would play it again. Like, cause I would, but like it's not the most insane thing in the world. Um, our thing has gotten cut off again. I can see that. I'm gonna try to adjust it. Everybody hold. I think it's gotten cut off again. Okay. I think that's you can see everything. Sure, give me the edge. Why not? It's getting smaller the more stuff we get, but I want everything to be visible. I don't think there's that many games left, so there's like another line, kind of. Okay, this was another game coming up that I loved. I thought this was so fun. It's so clever and simple, and that's Tents and Trees. This was a demo we played where it's kind of one of those puzzles where it tells you like how many numbers of items you have here, how many numbers are in this column. But they also had to be like the tents had to be by trees, and so you had to figure out where all the tents were on the map. It's not like I don't know what this type of puzzle is called, but I loved this. I absolutely want to play this when the full version comes out. It's right up here with these other ones. It's very simple, um, but it does require a little bit of brain power. I had a lot of fun with Tents and Trees. I'm excited for that one to be released. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about here is Terra Cards. Now, Tarot Cards is a pretty popular recent release. Um, it's kind of like a drafting game where you pick the different options and they make money for you. But this one had quite a bit of depth in that you could pick different crops. You had to expand your island. You had to get, pens to put in your animals. They would eat specific things. You had to monitor your water and electricity and your fuel. They depending on the different machinery you had, like you could make chocolate bars, you could make milk, you could make bread, and like every time you made a better thing, it would sell for more. A very good game. I played this a handful of times. It's very, very, very good. If you like those types of strategic, like drafting type games, it's very good. I highly recommend it. Tarot cards. It's farming. It's fun. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Time to Strike. This was another demo that we played. It's kind of a minimalistic, it's not kind of like a top-down shooter, but it's very, very minimalist. You're essentially just this little circle, and you get like these different roguelike power-ups, and you have to survive. It's fun. I actually really liked this. I would play this again. This is pretty decently high, actually. I'll actually put it above this. Probably even above this. I had a lot of fun with this. I thought Time to Strike actually was a very fun demo. It really showcased why the game could be a lot of fun. The next one we're going to talk about is Horticular. This was like you were like a mage that was trying to upkeep like a cozy like farming type game. This one wasn't bad. I don't know how much I'd really play it. I probably would play it again. It had some cool concepts for it. I do like farming games. It had some interesting enough concepts to it. Some parts were probably a little bit slow, but I would say I would play this again. I would say I'd play it again. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is The Dungeon Beneath. This is actually a pretty popular auto battle roguelike fantasy game. You have to position your guys like on this little square grid. They attack the enemies that are on the opposite side of the grid. It's not my favorite game. I know a lot of people really like this. I have played it multiple times, so it's going to go up here somewhere. But I think it'd probably be about there. I have played it again. I would play it again. Maybe I'll like it more if I play it more. I played it like twice, and I think it's solid. I think it's definitely solid. Okay. The next game we're going to talk about is Sigil of the Magi. Sigil of the Magi is like a tactical kind of little roguelike game where they attack certain guys depending on how many squares away they are. You have to worry about the enemies doing the same. This is one of the first looks we did. It's solid. I would actually put that about here. I don't think I necessarily want to play it again, but I get why people like it. It's decently well crafted, but I don't think I would necessarily play it again. I don't know. I think the runs were a little bit long. It's not bad though. Okay, the next game coming up is Veggie Quest. So Veggie Quest was this interesting puzzle game where the enemy was actually the adventurers, and you had to put the dungeon together by using specific things to try to make it so they took as many moves as possible to get to the end. This is another game I would say I get why people like it. I wouldn't play it again. It's not my cup of tea at all. But I think it's a well-made game with some interesting concepts for sure. Okay. The next game we're going to talk about is Towerful Defense, a Rogue TD. I loved this demo. I thought this was a ton of fun. It was essentially a tower defense, but one of the ones where you're a single tower in the middle, and you auto-fire at the enemies as they move in towards you. It just had a lot of clever power-ups. The power-up system was very Brotato-like, where they had both positives and negatives, so you really had to decide what kinds of things that you wanted to go towards in exchange for, losing other types of stats. I thought it was well made, well balanced. This I would definitely play again. It's probably about here. and that when this game comes out, like, I absolutely believe I will play it again. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is called Vampire Hunters. This game calls itself a combination of Doom and Vampire Survivors, as it's a first-person wave survivor game. I thought this one had some cool concepts to it. Like, it definitely, like, there's some cool guns and things that you can carry, like, 6 guns at a time. But I think the scaling is not insanely good, and it's really hard to keep track of where all the enemies are when it's first person. So I think it's unique. I think it's got some decent stuff going on for it. It's not my favorite thing. I would probably play it again, but it's like it's low-ish on that. It's probably like there. I would play it again. I think it does have, there's some fun to be had. I just think the scaling is not perfect. Which I said, most games scaling isn't great, so I don't like to hammer people for it too much, but it is something that I mentioned quite a bit. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Dancing Duelists. Now, Dancing Duelists was the game made by Metacrit that made Slay the Spire. It was their little auto battler deck builder, where it was like you play as like a little disco dancer, and the cards would autoplay, and you would essentially try to either destroy your opponent or get your hype points up to 50, and you would win rounds. And you had to win 7 times before you lost 3 times. Really, really fun. I played this a handful of times. I don't know how much I'd really go back and play it again now. I think I saw pretty much everything that the game had to offer. And because it was just a little game jam project, I don't believe that they are going to put any more work into it. So it puts it, honestly, towards the bottom of this. And that I probably wouldn't go back and play it again. I played it a lot when it came out. I probably wouldn't play it anymore, though, because I think we pretty much experienced everything. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Void Scrappers. Void Scrappers is a little wave survivor game in space. It's very hectic, but it's actually pretty fun. I only played this one time for the first look, but I would play it again. I thought it actually was pretty decently fun. It's hectic enough. The combat's pretty fun. Not a bad one at all. That's Void Scrappers. Okay. The next game we're going to talk about is a demo that we played a while back called Windswept. This is a very Super Nintendo style, like 2D platformer. You play as a mallard and a turtle, and you swap between the two to get through certain challenges. I sucked literal butt at this game. This is one that I'm going to say is I definitely get why people would like it, for sure. But I'm probably not going to play it again because I was genuine shit at it. Once again, I see now that there's only a couple more, though, so I'm going to just let this ride. Okay, the next one's going to go probably in that same category. It's called Witch Hand. It's definitely inspired by a game called Stacklands, where you get a bunch of cards and you stack them on top of each other and they auto do stuff. And you're kind of trying to build like this witch village. This is another one. I'm not playing this again. I don't like these types of games very much. I don't think they're very fun. But I do get why people do like them, though. So it's going to hang out at the bottom of, I get why people like it, but I myself, it's not my favorite thing. Okay, and then the last game here that we played for our first look was Ring of Pain. This is a relatively popular roguelike game where you have to pick between 2 paths and you kind of rotate around this map. And I'm not really sure what the end is. I've not beaten it. I think it's actually really hard, but I also think it's very clever and it's well designed. So I have played this multiple times. I would play this again. I probably would play it again before Dungeon Beneath. I think it's a well-crafted game with some good stuff to see. It's really hard and really weird. But that is our tier list of all the games that we've done first looks for this year. Like I said, we really wanted to close out 2023 in an interesting way. So I think this was a fun way to do it. Like I said, definitely feel free to let me know in the comments where I went totally wrong. Why you think Dungeon Beneath should be above Ring of Pain. why you think you're like, why the heck don't you want to play Dottage again? Like, it's awesome. Let me know in the comments why I'm an idiot. I hear it all the time. I'll hear it even more. It's fine. But if you liked seeing these tier lists and you want me to do more tier lists, excuse me, I've played a lot of games. I have a lot of opinions on things. If you want me to do more tier lists like this, let me know that in the comments too. I'm absolutely not opposed to doing it. And if you liked seeing this too, feel free to let me know by liking the video. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with all the cool indie stuff we post. Like I said, we do post 3 videos a day. So hopefully, if you stick around, you'll find some stuff you enjoy. You can keep up to date with, going into 2024. We have a whole lot more first looks that we're going to play. Obviously, games are coming out every day. There's demos coming out every day. We never have any shortage of things to play. Also, let me know in the comments if there's anything you want to see me do a first look on, going into 2024. Like I said, there's a lot of games out there. I'd like to tackle as many as possible. I really appreciate you guys watching this. I'll catch you in the next one.